What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're going to talk about the Ravager T4 controversy that's brewing. There is quite a few T4s that seem to be required on the Ravager team, and that's got players feeling less than thrilled, which I can't blame them. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the there was actually a mistake in the notes we were given for Star-Lord T'Challa, so there is something a little bit different in his passive. We're going to talk about that as well, but also just going to talk about how I think some of these T4s may not be as required as we think. We'll talk about all that. If you guys do find this video helpful, you do enjoy it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to 6,000 subs, so let's keep this train rolling. But I'm just showing some footage here of me trying out Ravagers and Blitz, and I mean, we don't have Star-Lord T'Challa, so I was figuring, let's just throw Star-Lord in here for the fun of it, just see what we could do. And everybody on this team except Yondu and Star-Lord are tier 12. There's no T4s on the Ravager minions. In fact, there's no T4s on my Ravagers at all yet. I haven't thrown a single T4 on them. I've got the T4 passive for Star-Lord just because that was from way back when I was running DD2, and that T4 with the with Rocket was just really, really good for when I was running through Dark Dimension. So that's kind of what I got. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of showing some gameplay here in the background while I wait for my my BlueStacks to load, because BlueStacks is being a pain in the butt. It looks like it finally did load. But yeah, so the problem with Ravagers, and this is what we'll start with. Ravagers, they look like they're going to require a lot of T4s. So for instance, if you look at this with Yondu, like this passive looks really, really good. That bonus focus per Ravager ally. This huge amount of damage and huge boost to focus on his ultimate. Looks like you're going to need that. And then we're actually going to talk about this summon, because this summon's weird right now. And we'll talk about that. Not so much the basic, but it looks like you're going to need to drop 3 T4s on Yondu. And then you get to Ravager Boomer, and you have to drop the T4 on the passive here. The T4 on this special reduces speed bar by an additional 10% and fills his speed bar by 10%. Don't really need to worry about the basics so much. He's going to be assisting quite often, so you have to get that extra boost for slow. Don't have to worry about that. But then like this, apply defense up to self and all Ravager allies for 2 turns. It's not so bad because he does already apply defense up to self and Ravager allies for 1 turn. So you do get that, but this 25 boost in armor looks pretty important, because if you guys went back and looked at my stat comparison sheet for your Ravagers, what the Ravagers showed was that they're very much like a glass cannon build, very low on health, resistance, armor, but really good in damage. So they're a team that's not going to be able to like win a long fight. They've got to get in, do their damage, and hope you can survive. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's a little bit concerning. This T4 regeneration for 2 turns instead of 1 turn. This T4 you could totally skip. We're not going to worry about the T4 here. Stitcher, you looks like you can pretty much get away without any T4s. This 2-turn regeneration could be pretty important, but Stitcher may not be one you have to worry about. And then we get to Star-Lord T'Challa, and there was an error in our notes we were given as the envoys. So outside of war, Ravagers gain a 25% boost to health, and then in war offense, they get another 25% boost to health. The notes we were given was saying that Ravagers just get a 25% boost to health inside war offense. Our notes are wrong. They actually have a 25% boost outside of war, and then get another 25 inside war offense. So they get a 50% health boost inside war offense, which is significantly better than what we calculated for. We were doing our stat calculations based just off that 25% boost to health. So this is nice. This is one that they definitely messed up on giving us the notes for our envoy video. So you will get this, which is nice. But yeah, like this is another T4 you're probably gonna need. That 25% boost to max health is very, very important. This T4, this one, we're gonna talk about eventually when we do some testing. This one I don't think is gonna be necessary, because what this is, copies 3 positive effects from adjacent allies. This is 3 positive effects per adjacent ally. I asked the devs about this last night. They confirmed it. It's 3 per. So this T4 suddenly looks a lot less valuable, but also in the footage we've seen, like everybody has the same buffs. And since Star-Lord goes so early, there's really no need to worry about copying positive effects so much. Like, you're not going to worry about having to copy all positive effects, because everybody gets that offense up, that defense up, that regeneration, everything. They all get those buffs to start the fight. So Star-Lord T'Challa is not gonna be copying anything new, really, except maybe stealth from Yondu. I've got to look. The speed here, 125 on T'Challa, and I believe Yondu is slower. So yeah, Yondu's at 112. So it's one of those things where maybe you may need to do these out of order, where you actually use the special on the first turn, because this applies the blind and steals ability energy. This may be more important than, say, getting that, because then if you're positioned next to Yondu, you can get the stealth from Yondu, put it on T'Challa, because T'Challa has very low health as well. So there is something there to be considered, plus also increasing the duration of positive effects. So it's this one, another one, probably not going to need it, but that 100% bonus damage is pretty big. And then also, we talked about the special already. This T4, this one you're definitely going to want, because this steals 2 ability energy. Now, at level 3, you get to steal up to 1. They forgot to put the up to 2 ability energy here. Already made sure they know about that, so we'll probably see a text fix for that. This T4 looks like you're going to want this T4 as well. So, the problem is, you're going to need a handful of T4s here. And the problem, and what people were thinking about with this, was that, you know, we've had teams before that require a lot of T4s. If you look, for instance, look at Shadowland. And Shadowland needed a lot of T4s. Like, this is a team I threw a lot of T4s on, and they're still, like, top of the line war offense. They're very good in war offense. I've done a lot of T4s here. You don't realize how many you've done on them until you actually look through it. Like, I've got 15 T4s on this team. But the thing is, like, you can't have every war team require these amount of T4s, because here's the difference between Shadowland and Ravager is Shadowland, when it came out, and it still is, at least in my opinion, still a very high tier war offense team. They kick butt on a lot of war defense teams. Like, they're very good on war offense. And they're built as the meta for war offense at the time. So you can get away with asking for a lot of T4s on a team like this, because that investment is going to give you a war team that just kicks butt, that just destroys everything in war. So you can ask for T4s on something like this. Ravagers, as much as I like this rework to Ravagers, it's a big ask to throw, especially considering there's 3 minions on this team. It's a big ask for us to put a lot of T4s. Like, this T4 here, like, this is one I'm going to say is going to be very much required once you get the full Ravager team. Like that passive T4 on Boomer. You're going to have a couple of T4s, like that passive T4 on Star-Lord T'Challa is going to be very much required. The special T4 on T'Challa, very much required, because those two are very, very important. We didn't even talk about Ravager Bruiser, but like, if the target is a protector applied disrupted, that's going to be huge for some counters. You're going to need that for, like, if you fight Mercs. Like, the 2 teams they showed us them fighting was Mercs and Black Order. That disrupt is going to be very important, especially for Mercs, because you're going to use that on Riot Guard. Now he can't gain deflect. Now you can pick on him and finish him off. This one, this special T4, because now without this T4, you only get defense up to self and 2 random Ravager allies for 2 turns. And instead, like with this, you'd have an infinite loop of defense up on your team. With this T4, he put defense up, and you'd have it constantly going because it gets for 2 turns, and this is a 2-turn cooldown. This is another very important T4. You're asking for T4s on minions is a very hard ask. And another team that I personally love that did have a minion in it that asked for T4s on the minions was Skilletary. And I mean, we all know the controversy with this one. This was like the worst war team originally before Black Widow and the second rework. because they needed a lot of T4s. Like, you had to put the T4 here. You do these two T4s on Punisher, and the T4 passive that everybody had was useless for Skeletal. But, like, you needed this because this does the bonus attack on the ultimate. This, you had to do it because it transfers positive effects. Like, the whole deal with Skeletal was you had to get those T4s because that was how you transfer positive effects. That was the whole deal with Skeletal. Without these T4s, the mechanics don't work for Skeletal because you had to get them in order to transfer the positive effects from characters. All right, Merc Soldier, you had to do this because that's a 40% damage. That's huge. You have to have that. The special on Merc Soldier, this was the transferring of positive effects. So yeah, this was very much an important one to have. Like, these transfer abilities were tied to your T4s, and this, like, people hated this, not only because Skeletal 1.0 was terrible, but the amount of T4s you had to invest in it for a team that just didn't work. Ravagers looked like they're going to work, but now you've got 3 minions on the team, and it's a big ask. Thankfully, we don't need any T4s on Stitcher, but you're going to need at least 1 each on Boomer and Bruiser. And that's going to drive people nuts. And I do also want to show one other thing where, so the passive with Yondu, the big controversy is that you would need to get that T4 passive for that boost in focus. Yondu actually has a pretty solid focus stat already. I'll talk about that. I've got a tier 14 Yondu. I'll show you guys. But this was him going up against Doc Ock. We didn't win this. I just wanted to do testing to see how things would work at tier 13. Notice my Yondu's at tier 13. He is at 6 red, 7 yellow. Those reds are looking much better now. But yeah, he gets offense up from the team. Like, Boomer gives everybody offense up. Ravager gives everybody defense up. Stitcher gives everybody regeneration. So right away, you've got a pretty solid boost to focus on this whole team because of that offense up. So now you've got Yondu here. And you can see Doc used his special, gave everybody on the team regeneration. Shocker gave the offense up because you can see it there on Swarm. And Yondu just steals everything. So it's one of those where you may not need, depending on how your Yondu is geared, you may not need that passive T4 because he's got a very solid focus stat. 10k right now. And that gets a 50% boost because of the offense up that you get on spawn from Ravager Boomer. So this looks nowhere near necessary. That you really won't need. This, however, that 80% piercing, that goes from 220 to 300% piercing. And, like, even without that extra focus, like, that's a huge damage boost. But now you can make sure that you clear those positive effects with this. Like, you're going to be guaranteed to clear these. Unless it's someone like Thanos with Taunt. Like, yeah, this is gonna be pretty crazy. So this is very much a T4 I think you're gonna need on him. And finally, let's talk about this special for Ravager, for Yondu, sorry. So, as it works right now, with this, without the T4, you can actually summon 2 Boomers or 2 Stitchers with his special. And we've done it. I don't know if I've got it in the picture here. I don't think I do. No, I don't. It wasn't yet. But, yeah, so summon 1 Ravager ally and 8% chance to summon a 2nd Ravager ally. Until you put this T4, you can get 2 Boomers and 2 Stitchers. And this is really funny, because if you get 3 Boomers on the field, you have a lot of speed bar removal, especially if you see this is the drawback. You can't put the T4 here on the special. But if you did have the T4 special here, remember, the summons always reflect the T4s of the summoner. So right now, because my Yondu doesn't have any T4s, if I put a T4 on his passive, Ravager Boomer Summon would have a T4 on the passive. If I put this T4 on the special, cars driving by being loud. If I put the T4 on the special for Yondu, well, now the Ravager Boomer gets a T4 on his special. So that is something to consider. But also, if you get 2 Ravager Stitchers with this, well, now you have 3 Ravager Stitchers that are going to steal 60% health from someone. So it's one of those funny things where you can roll the, like, this, I love the whole, this is a T4 I actually kind of like, because without it, like, there's a whole gamble system here. You can roll the dice, only get 1 summon, or you could roll something really good, get 2 Boomers or 2 Stitchers with this special. And I really like the idea of that. And I hate that this T4 makes it only one Boomer and one Stitcher, but it does guarantee it. So there is a drawback here, but at the same time, like, this is going to be a fun one to figure out. Like, this is part of the testing. And also, I do want to mention, we do have the playtest server, and we should be getting access to that today. I'm recording this Friday morning. I'm hesitant to do a lot of playtesting with the Ravagers there, because the Ravagers on the playtest server are all going to be tier 15, all the T4s, and 2.3 ISO. And I don't think anybody's going to build that up. So I may just do that video with playtesting with the Ravagers and just say, hey, like, these guys are all maxed out. Take this with a massive grain of salt. But if you do decide to max out your Ravagers, this is what they'll look like. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of that down below if you guys are still watching this video. I know we're going on a little bit long here, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting team to figure out with T4s. I think you can get away with just 4 T4s on this Ravager team, like the ultimate on Yondu, the special and passive for Star-Lord T'Challa, and then the passive on Boomer. I think just those 4 T4s you should be able to get away with on this team. But let me know what you guys think down below of this team and the Ravagers and the T4s and stuff. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys next time.